All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Good? Everybody good? All right, we'd like to welcome those of you joining us out there online. As you can see, tonight is a different night. We're having our costume party. So we're going to do some things a little bit different tonight. For now, can we turn on the lights? Now, right now, I want the adults, Mr. Dave, Jonathan, Lee, and Drew, and Miss B. I want you guys to go back there. Miss Yvette is going to talk to you for a minute. Miss B. Now, our goal tonight's to get through this quickly so we can enjoy the rest of the night. All right? So, for those of you online, we are going to jump into things pretty quick, and then we're going to take the rest of the night for ourselves to enjoy. So, thank you for joining us. Right now, we want to let those joining us online enjoy the privilege of getting to see the costumes. So I need the middle school girls to come over here. Middle school girls, need you come over here. Yeah, go with them. Get your girls up there. Middle school boys. Samuel, if you can get your middle school boys to line up behind them. High school girls, Laura, get your girls lined up behind the middle school boys. And then high school boys. You guys, high school boys, I need you to line up behind the high school girls. All right? All right, let's get into place. Yeah. All right. High school girls, line up behind the middle school boys. Line up behind the middle school boys. All right. Taylor, get your group up here. Nathan, get your group. I don't care. All right, so listen up. Shh. Listen up. Since we're going to make this a short night for those joining us out there online, what I want you to do, adults, are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to start our parade. All right? So, in order for those joining us online to see what we're doing tonight, I'm going to ask you just to walk, wave at the camera, and then you can go off into your seat, okay? So here we go with the middle school girls. Taylor, you got to lead us, all right? All right, we got Taylor. All right, good job. There we go. We just want everybody to see the different costumes. All right, come on, middle school boys. All right. Deshaun, all right. Whoa. All right, come on, high school girls. Just a quick stop and wave, and look at it. They don't even stop. They're out of here. God, you gotta wave the camera. Come on, high school boys. I know Bruce will wave. Isaac. All right. Come on, look at the camera. Let them see you. All right. I'll tell you, we got a bunch of shy ones. They don't want to show themselves a whole lot. All right, so you go ahead and cut the lights again. As I said, we're going to jump right into things. We're going to do things a little bit different tonight, okay? So, here we are, our third and our final week of our series, Satan, Angels, and Demons. Can I get window back there? And our title slide? See that? We're moving so quick, they're not even ready back there in the computer. I need my back window. Oh, now we lost the mouse. Keyboard batteries looked bad earlier. All right. So, going into tonight, for our pizza party, as you can see, middle school boys are still in the lead with 607 points. High school boys, you're only 60 behind, 547. Middle school girls, 513. High school girls, 469. Now, tonight you're going to have a chance because we've got two ladies that have been planning this night out. Let's hear it for Taylor and Celeste. I know they've got some games planned. They've got games planned that we'll be keeping track of points all night long. All right? As we get to that, though, as I said, tonight's our final week of Satan, Angels, and Demons. Hey, computer. Satan, Angels, and Demons, our title slide. Tonight of all topics, we are going to be talking about Satan. All right? But, as I said, tonight's a little bit of a different night. So I'm going to ask you real quick now, before you jump up and run, let me get through all the instructions. Young adults, please pay close attention, and adults also. We are going to get into our groups. Each of you are going to be given a pen and a Post-it note. I want you to write your name on the Post-it note, and then I want you to give it to your adult leader. Okay? Adult leaders, once you have everybody's name on a Post-it note, I want you to shuffle them up, and I want you to pass them out in the group. Now, when you get a Post-it note back, make sure that you don't have your own name, okay? After you have the name of somebody in your group, you're going to go to that person and you're going to ask them for their 5 best traits. You know, things like great hair, like oh, wait a minute. I guess I kind of blew that on a great trait, huh? You know, great hair, funny, things like that. You're going to have a blank piece of paper. On one side of that paper, I want you to write down the 5 best traits that they give you. Here's where it's going to get tricky. Then I want you to go back to your seat, and I want you to list 5 anti-traits about them. Like bad hair, boring, things like that. Write them on the same side of the paper because you're going to need the back side for another thing that we're going to do. Okay? Are there any questions? All right, ready, set, go. Get into your groups. Adults, please pass out a blank piece of paper to each person. Each person gets a blank piece of paper. Each person gets a Post-it note and a pen. Yeah, high school girls, you're going to have to gather up back there by the sound booth because Miss Yvette's a little gimpy right now. All right, let's not waste a lot of time doing this. For those of you joining us online, it is going to be chaotic tonight. It's going to be chaotic. I hope you'll stay with us. As soon as we get through this initial part here, we're going to get into a great message. In fact, why don't you at home write down your 5 best traits, and then go ahead and list 5 anti-traits about yourself. And you can follow along in what we're doing here, all right? Okay, write your name on the Post-it note, give it back to your adult leader. Adult leaders, shuffle them up. After you get the Post-it notes, shuffle them up, give them back. They write their own name, give it to the adult leader. Adult leader, shuffle them up, and pass them back out. Just make sure you don't have your own name. After you have the 5 best traits of that person, you need to go back to your chair and you need to write down 5 anti-traits about them on the same side of the paper you're given.
Themselves or about the people they get on the paper?
About the name they get.
They have to write the good
They ask them their 5 best traits, but then they sit down and write down their 5 anti-traits. And it may be hard because you got new people. So what you're going to try to do is just sit back and look at that individual and think about just by appearance and stuff and try to put 5 anti-traits. I know it sounds difficult, but we are taking this to a point, okay?
Okay.
All right, after you get that person's 5 best traits, go back to your seat. Write down 5 anti-traits about that person. On the white piece of paper, you write down their 5 best traits from them, and then you write down 5 anti-traits. All right, for those of you online, you're going to see me in and out of the picture. I want to make sure that the groups are getting their stuff right. So don't leave us if I'm not in the picture. All right. You're going to have to retie this tight. Because I feel it. Hey, as I said, we have some new people here, so you're going to kind of have to just sit back and take some guesses, okay? There's going to be a point to this here in a little bit. All right, are you? Let's go. We need to step it up. We need to step it up. Get the 5 anti-traits back at your seat. Because we got another part of this exercise we need to do, all right? As soon as you get those done, I need you to sit. As soon as you get those done, I need you to go to your seat and sit. All right, is everybody? Shh, 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 shh. Shh. All right. All right, need you to listen up. Need you to listen. High school girls, are you done?
No.
Hurry up.
Kinda. Or sort of kinda.
Middle school girls, are you ready? All right, make it quick. We got to move on. High school guys, y'all got it? Huh? Hurry up, hurry up. Middle school boy, you got them? Hurry up. Hurry up, we got a point going here. Even if you don't know them, just take a guess, put something down, okay? All right, I just need you to take a guess. Just take a guess, write some stuff down, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, now I need everybody quiet and listen up. For those of you joining us at home, I hope you've got your 5 best and your 5 anti-traits. Because here's what I want you to do next. All right, listen. I want you to imagine that person's nemesis is creating robots, and the robots are the anti-them. On the back side of your white paper, I want you to draw what you think that robot would look like. After you finish drawing, go back to your group, share that picture with your group, and then I need you to head back to your seat, and we will move on, okay? So a couple of minutes to draw, just a couple of minutes. All right. All right, just another minute on your picture. Share it with the rest of the group. So high school girls, you'll come together as a group and share your picture with everybody. Middle school boys are all here. For those of you at home, I know it might be difficult trying to draw that when you're doing it just on yourself. But there's a point that we are going to with this for our message tonight, so just bear with us. You guys all got your picture? Middle school girls, y'all got your picture shared with everybody? We want everybody to see the picture. High school guys. High school guys. High school guys, you got your pictures and shared with everyone? Hurry up. We got to move on about 30 seconds. Middle school guys, you got your picture and shared? High school girls, got your pictures together and shared with everybody? I need you to share it together as a group. All right, we got about 15 seconds and we need to move on. Seconds, 15 seconds. Share your pictures with your group. Share your picture with your group. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, shh. Everybody listen up. Shh. 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 Listen up, everybody. All right, so you've shared your picture in your group. You saw the picture that was drawn for you. What do you think about the anti-you? Listen up. For me, when I picture the anti-me, I think of the kind of person that I don't want to be around. Because I think of that person that they don't make others feel good about themselves. So now that you have identified the anti-version of your partner, I want to shift gears just a little bit. And I want to look at the anti-Jesus, or the anti of God. Think about the anti-version of Jesus, or the anti-version of God. We know him as Satan, or the devil, or Lucifer. Now, in order to understand a bit about this individual, let's go back and let's talk about where we've been the past couple of weeks. For those of you that haven't been with us the past couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, we talked about angels and how they're created beings. God created them. Angels aren't someone who have died and gone to heaven. Angels are created beings, and they were created by God. Tonight, as we talk about Satan, Satan was an angel created by God. He was like the angels that we talked about a couple weeks ago. But then Satan decided that he wanted to be God. And he led a rebellion against God. Satan and his rebellious angels, of course, lost that rebellion because, remember, God created the angels. You need to remember that the created, next slide. Okay. The created is not greater than the creator. All right? So then because they rebelled and they went against God, God banished them from heaven and he gave them what they wanted. To do what they want. The angels who followed Satan, and we talked about them last week when we talked about demons. And last week we learned that demons, yes, they were once angels also, created beings, and they became demons because they didn't follow God and they were part of this rebellion against him. They wanted to live by their own rules, not God's. So what demons do is they try to make us afraid because then we won't trust God. Satan just happens to be the leader of the demons. Satan's goal is the same as the demons, to hurt God. You remember last week I talked about if somebody really wanted to hurt me, they could wait around the corner, but if you really wanted to hurt me, you'd go after one of my 7 kids or one of my 8 grandkids. Because we're God's children. So Satan comes after us. Satan doesn't care about us. The only thing he cares about is hurting God. So now, as we're in our groups, we're going to do one more quick activity. This is going to be the last activity that we do during this message, okay? As a group, I want you to come up with a list of 5 to 10 traits that you know are true about Jesus and God. Like forgiving, loving, compassionate, etc. Then I want you to come up with a list of 5 to 10 anti-traits about Jesus, just like you did before with that other person. After you finish both of those lists as a group, I want you to go on to the Bible app, or you can open a Bible, and I want you to find the passages that we're going to put up on the screen, and I want you to read those passages together as a group. And I want you to see if you can identify what Satan is doing in each of these passages. Any questions? Leaders, y'all good with that? All right, here's your passages. 5 to 10 traits, positive traits that you know about Jesus or God. Try to come up with 5 or 10 anti-traits. Read these passages and see if you can identify what Satan's doing in these passages. Go! If you're joining us online, you can see the screen there behind me. Feel free to look those up and see if you can determine what Satan's doing in these passages. Then adult leaders, if you can let me know when you've finished so we can move on.
That's 1. The last one, no, in Genesis. Genesis is 3, verse 1.
If you're out there online, check out these passages. I'm going to walk around to the groups and kind of get a listen in on what they're doing.
You're supposed to do the 5 positives, the 5 negatives, and every verse.
All right, is everybody done? Ready to move on? Hurry up. Hurry up. We're running behind. I wanted to give you guys 2 hours of nothing but enjoyment. All right, we've got to move on about 30 seconds. "20 seconds, we got to move on." "10 seconds. We got to move on. We're way behind.
Gary Robert Rice.
Drew, I'm going to need you. We're getting into the next one pretty quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, listen up. So in those verses, or as you're doing the traits, did you find or see anything interesting? Anybody see or find anything interesting? I mean, you're all so incredibly smart. I'll bet you even saw some things on your list in the passages you read. So what do we do with this? What do we do with this? You can go ahead and go back to your seats now. We're going to be moving on for the message itself. And we're going to take a look at our main passage for the night. All right? Once you're in your seats, once you're in your seats, I need you to pay attention. Yvette, if you want to get yellow ready. Okay, so as I said, what do we do with this? Let's take a look at John chapter 8, verse 44. You belong to the father, to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. In the passages that you read in your groups, and in this passage, we see Satan for who he is. He's a liar. I mean, did you catch the end of the verse there? For he is a liar and the father of lies. Every day, all throughout our lives, we have a choice. We can believe the truth, or we can believe the lie. We know because of who God is and what his word tells us that God is truth. However, we know that just because we know something doesn't mean it'll always be enough. We have to continually search, listen, and choose to let truth impact our lives. We need to let it influence the decision to either listen to the lie or listen to the truth. In fact, think of it this way. You guys don't have school tomorrow, but we're going to place you in class right now. Think about you're in class. You're learning a new subject. What are some of the things that your teacher does? I mean, many of them probably talk about what it is and why it's important to know, right? But one of the best ways to process through information is by spending time reading and thinking about it. When you take what your teacher says and you look it up for yourself, then you begin to believe if it's truth or a lie. They want you to research it. They want you to read it and believe it for yourself. You have the choice in that moment of what you'll believe, the truth or the lie. How can we do this? How can we not be afraid of Satan and the lies that he tells us? First of all, we can read God's truth. It's hard to know whether what we're hearing is true or not. Help yourself know what's true by spending time in the Bible. Every day we hear so many different messages. We hear things from friends, from TV, Instagram, music, and on and on. How do we know what's truth and what's a lie? Go to the source of truth. When we read God's truth in the Bible, we begin to know what truth is. And this sheds light into the lies that we hear and helps us better know which is which. Ask your leader, or myself, or a friend in your group. Ask them to help you with a plan to consistently read the truth. All it takes is a verse or two a day. In fact, I get the verse of the day delivered right into my email every day. I wake up and that's waiting on me. And I try to apply that verse throughout the day. Read the truth. Second, then we need to stay connected to the truth. As we read God's truth in the Bible, on the Bible app or whatever, we stay connected by talking with God through prayer. And that's one of the coolest things about prayer. We get to talk to God about what He's telling us through His truth. So not only do we get to read the truth, but we get to talk with Him about it. And prayer is also a way for you to thank God and express your concerns or your joys that you have in your life. Talk with truth, because when we don't, that's when we allow Satan and the lies that he tells to speak to us instead. 3, be around others wanting truth. As we said, people influence us each and every day. Sometimes for the good, and sometimes for the not so good. As a student, you are greatly influenced by your friends. If the people around you are more non-interested in searching for the truth, then what's going to happen? They're going to start to believe and listen to the lies, right? And if they're listening to the lies, they're going to start acting out those beliefs. And then it's going to influence you and your actions. What would your life look like if your friends were searching for and listening to the truth? I've been there. I've been there. I let friends influence me. went to a party drinking, and flipped a car at over 100 miles an hour. I sat there listening to the lies. I'm lucky to be up here talking to you tonight. Surround yourself with others your age that want the truth. Then you'll begin to help and support each other. When one of you begins to listen to the lies, then you can reel each other in and bring truth back into your life. I want to invite Jonathan up here. I want Jonathan to share his testimony with us. And for those that weren't here last week, I'd let everybody know the prior week I'd talked to him, and he indicated to me, and I know from past, that Jonathan's a former atheist. And he wished there was somebody that would have helped show him the truth when he was younger. So if you would. Yellow? Yep, there you go.
Okay, I'll just talk about it. Alright. I'm Jonathan. I know I haven't met all of you yet, but I've been here for a couple weeks now. My story kind of starts when I was pretty young. My father, I only met him once. He was an alcoholic, and he would beat my mother pretty regularly. And he would beat her pretty bad. So one day in the middle of the night, I was probably around 2 or 3 or so is what my mother tells me, but she picked both my brother and I up, and she fled because he had beaten her so bad that her jaw was broken, and she had gone to the hospital, and they had to do surgery. So when she came back, she didn't want us to be around that, so she picked us up and she fled. I originally came from Puerto Rico, so she fled from Puerto Rico, went to Florida, didn't know anybody, didn't have anybody. Knew absolutely no one when she came over here. She was a single mother, now single, 2 children. I have an older brother, and she just knew that she needed to get away from that situation, so she just picked us up and left. She did it for us. She did it to have a future for us because she was worried that he might take his anger out on us and that we may not survive. So she did that. She got taken in by a very nice family. They were, as far as I'm aware, they're believers as well. And they took her in and her 2 children and gave her a place to stay, gave us a place to stay. At the time, all I did was cry because I was 2 or 3 years old. I didn't really understand what was going on. I was very young. She said that I cried very often. I still do cry, but now I cry when I share my testimony, when I pray. It's a little different. But yeah, so she had to apologize to them because, you know, you have a very young child. And they took her in and fed her, supported her, got her a job. She did everything that she could to get an education, and she went to schooling, and she put us through school. One of the things she told me when I was very young, and I was starting to act out, probably because I didn't have a father in my life, was, I don't really care about anything that you do. I was getting in a lot of trouble. She said, I don't care about anything that you do. I just don't want you to go to prison. I just don't want you to go to jail. That was my standard. That's all she cared about. I was doing pretty bad in school, and I was definitely hanging out with wrong people. Definitely surrounded by people that did not care about my salvation. They didn't care about my life. They didn't care about me, really. They wanted to have fun. I was all about that. They wanted to go out and do all kinds of stuff, and I was all about that. But they didn't really care about me ultimately. because they didn't care about my salvation. So I get in high school, and randomly my mother says, "Hey, do you want to meet your father?" And it was literally out of nowhere, like absolutely out of nowhere. There was nothing that prompted it. She just, "Hey, do you want to meet your father?" And I said, I thought like he was super Mr. Bad Guy that we should never see, because all I knew was he had beaten her. That's all I knew. She wouldn't talk about it for obvious reasons. It was pretty bad. I was 15 at the time. I think I was 15 at the time. I had never seen him. And we went down there, and we went to Puerto Rico. I saw my father, and he cried. He just kept crying. He had saved the newspaper clippings of when we were born, and he showed them to me. And he just kept crying, and he said, "My sons, Jonathan, Joel, my sons." And I think that hit him. He apparently had sworn off alcohol. I could see, from what I could see, he genuinely had turned his life around. I understand it now. I didn't understand it then. So I hugged him. As far as I knew, he was a stranger to me. I had never seen him before. So I just did what felt right, and I gave him a hug. And I comforted him. I saw the newspaper clippings, and I thought, "Oh man, that's cool." You know, I was in the local newspaper when we were born, and he kept it this whole time, 15 years, never saw us. So that really hit. Well, I go through high school. I continue being the old me. I continued doing things that I shouldn't do. I drank when I shouldn't drink. I wasn't old enough. Did drugs. Won't really get into that. I had a girlfriend. We were doing things that we shouldn't be doing outside of marriage. All kinds of bad stuff. All kinds of bad stuff at all kinds of hours. I worked pretty late, so I just stayed up all the time. Well, I got tired of life. I got to a pretty bad point. I pretty much just wanted to kill myself. I was definitely suicidal. Didn't care about anything. Didn't care about anyone. I reached the point where I said, "There's really nothing left. There's no point. I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody cares. Nobody listens. Nobody is there. When I talk to people, they just kind of listen but don't really care. It's like they just kind of are waiting for you to stop talking." So when I realized that, I kind of just didn't care anymore. Well, out of nowhere, randomly, I got the crazy idea I was going to join the Army. And one of the reasons I joined was because I was kind of hoping that I would get killed. So that way, at least, if I get killed, I would have something to pass on to my girlfriend. My girlfriend at the time is now my wife, Tiffany. We've been together ever since. But I really just was looking for an excuse. I wanted to go out in a way that I thought people would at least not be mad at me, and that at least people would say, "At least you tried." That they would see at least I put some effort in. So I joined in, and I told the recruiter, there are only two jobs I want to do. I want to be infantry, or I want to be a medic, and that's it. And he said, "Well, we'll see about that, because your score's got to be good enough." Now, one of the crazy things was, as much as I hated school and I didn't pay attention, and I skipped out all the time, I still did pretty good in school. I didn't really pay attention. I slept a lot. But I did pretty good, because as much as I tried to lie to myself, I did care about learning. I cared. I just didn't want others to know that I cared, because I thought it was cool to not care and to always skip out. So I did pretty good. Well, I did the test, and my scores came back, and he said, "You're good enough to do all these jobs." And he asked me, "Which one do you want to do?" I said, "I told you when I came here, there are only two jobs I'll do. I'm either going to be a medic, or I'm going to be infantry." And he said, "Okay, well, we have slots for both of those, so what do you want?" And I said, "I'm going to be a medic." And then he stopped for a second, and he asked me why I want to be a medic. And I said, "Well, There are people out there that get blown up. There are people out there that get shot. If I'm able to and I'm smart enough to be a medic and I make it, then that's what I should do. I owe them. I owe them. If I'm capable and able to, I can't just sit around and do nothing with my life. I had already wanted to die, so at least this way, maybe I could help somebody before it finally happened. Well, he said, okay, if you want to help others, then being a medic is the right call. And he warned me, keep in mind, it's not for everybody. And a lot of people wash out. Not many people actually make it when they go to be a medic. It's very hard. It's a very demanding MOS job. So I go through and I actually make it because I tried. I actually cared. It was one of the things that I actually was good at, was helping others, because I had been through so much that now all I ever want to do is be there for others. So I got through. I was a medic, signed a contract for 4 years. About 3 years into that contract, second deployment came around. This one was for Iraq, so I had to extend my contract and sign another contract in the Army so that I had more time in so I could go, because I wanted to go. I wanted to help. That's what I cared about, was others. I always put them before me. And when you're in the Army as a medic, it's pretty obvious for medics who actually cares. They'll know. They won't even ask you to go on the deployment if they can tell you don't actually care about the guys. So deployment comes around, I go to Iraq. Long story short, I come back pretty broken. My back's all messed up. My knees are messed up. My shoulders messed up. They still are. Because of that, I got medically retired from the Army. They said, you're too broken to do anything. We have to get you out because you can't do anything. We can't change you to another job. We can't put you anywhere else. We can't put you behind a desk. You're going to have to get kicked out. I thought I was going to be in for life. I signed another contract. I had just signed another contract. And now I'm told, we got to kick you out. Thanks for your service. It's been fun. So you can imagine, after everything I've been through, how that felt. So I get out, and I was around a lot of pretty bad individuals in the Army. They're pretty they're pretty against God, is what I would say nowadays in the Army. Not a lot of positive things. So I get out, and I'm just drinking because it's really all I cared about anymore. And I still had the suicidal ideations, so I'm struggling with, what do I do at this point? What's the point? I don't really care anymore. I go through that for a while, through the medical process, and they finally retire me. I was stationed in upstate New York. Out of nowhere, I decided we're going to move to Palm Coast. I told my wife we're going to go to Palm Coast when we get out, when they finally get me out. We moved down to Palm Coast. And still to this point, I had no idea. I want you to know, I was not seeking God. I was not looking for God. I did not care about God. I wanted nothing to do with Him. My entire life, I spent time arguing with people about God. I intentionally would try to convince people that God did not exist. There were people in my life that tried to tell me that I was wrong, and I would go out of my way to break their heart, to make them cry, because I enjoyed it. That's what I did. There was a girl named Faith in high school who used to constantly tell me to not take the Lord's name in vain around her, and I would take it in vain, constantly, intentionally, because I knew it upset her. I wanted her to suffer. I wanted her to suffer like I did. I wanted her to feel bad. If all I ever knew was pain, I wanted others to feel it too. That's how I saw it. That's not how I told people, but that's how it showed. And she said, if you're going to do that, Just don't do it around me. She stood up. Still to this day, I remember that. Still to this day, I'm thankful that she had the courage in high school to tell me, if you're going to do that, if you're going to do all these things, just don't do it in front of me. And for whatever reason, I actually stopped doing it in front of her. That's the only time anyone had ever stood up to me that was a believer. That's the only time anyone had the courage to say, this is wrong. I don't like you saying his name like that. I don't like the way you talk about it. Could you at least just not do it in front of me? So this day, I'm still thankful to her for that. My wife and I moved to Palm Coast. We actually lived 2 streets down. Literally right there. I get a medical marijuana card in the state of Florida because cannabis is legal for medicinal purposes. And with all my pain, I just don't want to feel it anymore. So I got a medical marijuana card, and I started vaping because that's how it is in the state of Florida. I started vaping cannabis to ease the pain and put me to sleep because I couldn't sleep. You can't roll over on your back. You can't stand. You can't sit. There's no escaping it. When your back is messed up, there's no escape. When I was going through all the pain, I told all the medical personnel as they asked me, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, they asked me to talk about it, and I said, I don't really care. I just want someone to kill me so that the pain would stop. They didn't really know what to say because how do you tell someone who's in pain that that's not the right answer? How do you convince someone who's suffering every single day that that's not okay? So they really didn't know how to approach it. And to me, it felt like they didn't care. Because I've had people tell me constantly that they care when they don't. So I would argue with them and I would yell. They had me on a profile. I couldn't be around weapons for obvious reasons. They were afraid that I was going to take my own life. They were pretty aware of my suicidal ideations. They were pretty aware that I was willing to end my life. I just didn't want to do it myself. I wanted someone else to do it for me. And I was trying to push people to do it, hoping that maybe one day I wouldn't have to feel the pain anymore. Well, we're down here, 2 streets down. I've been going through the pain for a while. Was not looking for God. Was not looking for anything other than a way out. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the night. The only way I can describe it is the Holy Spirit came down on me. I suddenly realized God is real. And in that moment, I fell to my knees in tears. To realize God is real. When I spent my whole life trying to convince others that he's not real, trying to tell people he doesn't love you, he's not real, and then to understand he's real and that Jesus died for me. I fell to my knees in tears, and I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How could I have known? Please forgive me. And I just kept crying. I couldn't help it. I knew he's real. He is real. That means I was wrong. Not only was I wrong, but I was trying to convince everyone else he's not real. And people tried to tell me throughout my life. They tried to show me. When I thought that they didn't care, it turned out they did. They cared the most. They were the only ones that actually did care. when they tried to steer me away from all the things that were wrong. They were trying to help me, and I didn't care. They actually cared, and I didn't. So when I fell to my knees, I told him I'm sorry. I asked him to forgive me. I said, please, Lord, forgive me. Please forgive me. I fell to my knees and I cried. I couldn't talk. I just kept crying. It was a very long time. There's a lot of tears. When I got up, I felt completely different. Completely different. I almost couldn't fall asleep. My wife was asleep. She was asleep in the other room. It was in the middle of the night, out of nowhere. Nothing prompted it. I wasn't reading a Bible. I didn't own a Bible. I didn't know anything about it. If someone gave me a Bible, I literally threw it away. Threw it to the side. I didn't know anything. But I knew God is real. Jesus died for me. So, in the morning, my wife got up, and I couldn't help but tell her. I had to tell her. I had to tell her. I had to tell everyone. I can't sit there and not tell someone. Now that I know he's real, how am I not supposed to tell someone? How could I hold that back from someone else? If I didn't tell someone, would I be loving them? When people tried to tell me they were trying to love me, I didn't care. I thought they were wrong. And now, all I can do is tell everyone. I told my wife, I cried, and I told her, God is real. God is real. Keep in mind, she's known me since high school. We were high school sweethearts. She's known me my whole life. She's known all the things that I did. Some of them we did together. For me to just out of nowhere, from painting my nails black and wearing spikes and leather collar, plaid pants, boots that were 6 inches high, going to mosh pits, drugs and alcohol every single day, to out of nowhere, never a drink of alcohol again. No need to smoke anything ever again. No swearing, no blasphemy, changing all my clothes, everything. Telling her God is real. God is real. God is real. That's all I could keep. It's all I ever want to talk about. It's all I ever want to tell people. There's nothing more important in this life than your salvation. Nothing. Everything is just a waste of time if it does not lead you to Jesus. And when I understood that, I had to tell her. I had to tell her. Then I told my mom, then I told my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my sister-in-law, my grandparents. I had to tell everyone. God is good. He's done more for me in my entire life than I may even realize. There's still things I'm discovering that he's done that I just didn't realize. There's still moments in life that I realize he was there for me. I can tell you there are multiple times I should be dead. There are multiple times I could have taken my own life. But he spared me. In those moments, I could have died in sin. He had every right to take my life because he gave it to me. And he didn't. I could not be here right now. But he spared me. I owe it to everyone. I owe it to him to tell everyone God is real. Jesus Christ is real. That's my testimony.
Jonathan, I'm going to ask you if you'll stay right up here with me for a minute. All right? Listen, I want to encourage you guys, you don't have to be afraid of Satan. You know how to battle the lies, and that's with the truth. And we talked tonight about what we need to do to stay in the truth. Besides that, if you've been coming here any time at all, we know how this story ends anyway. We know that Jesus wins this battle. He's already won the battle. But that doesn't mean that Satan's just going to stay away and think, man, they know the truth. I'm going to go find me another innocent person that I can pick on. That's not the case. Because Satan wants to hurt God. One of the best ways he can hurt God is by hurting us, his children. So remember, God's going to protect you and he'll be there with you through it all. But you can't sit back. You have to battle with the truth also. We've got an hour and 45 minutes yet that we're going to be here tonight. If you have any questions for Jonathan, feel free to ask him questions. There's other adults in this room that have been down that same path. I was 47 when I fell to my knees in tears in the middle of the night, finally saying, I can't do this myself anymore. I need your help. And I'll be 56 on Wednesday. So I'm still a young Christian myself. There's other adults in here that have been through those battles also. So feel free. If you have questions, ask us. Talk to us. We'll help guide you through there. Jonathan, I'm going to ask if you would close us out in prayer tonight.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for bringing us all here tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to share your glory, to point to you, to show others all that you have done. Thank you for showing us all that you're going to do. You didn't even need to do that. You didn't need to do anything. But you still did, for our sake. Father, I'd like to ask, as we go forward, the days and weeks ahead, please keep you in our hearts, on our minds. Help us to trust you. Help us to look to you for all things. Hope this can be an encouragement for others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. For those of you that were with us online tonight, thank you for being with us. I know we went a little bit longer than normal. If you have any questions, we've said it many times, you can type your message in, or you can reach out to me, Gary at pcbiblechurch.org. We'll get your questions answered and help you. And we'll be with you next week when we start a new series called The Master of You. Remember, we love you out there, and we'll see you next week.